all a matter of time before pieces started moving off the Boston Celtics, as you heard there from the Get Up crew, while you might have been sleeping last night. Last night, Jrue Holiday back to the Portland Trailblazers in return for Anthony Simons, a couple of second-round draft picks. The picks include a 2030 selection from the Knicks, a 2031 pick from the Blazers. But more importantly, it's what we all thought was coming. The peel-off has started with the Celtics, and it starts with Jrue Holiday.
Yeah, so look, again, no surprise on the deal, Murray. As you said, we all knew it was coming. But two things popped into my head. Two, when I saw what this trade was. Because I don't know a crap ton. But is it Simmons or Simons?
Simons. And
Okay.
Did I say Simmons? My bad.
Okay, so but it might be pronounced Simmons.
No, it's Simons.
Hopefully
Okay.
it doesn't matter in a week.
Yeah, right.
So I don't know a crap ton about the player, but I've done a little bit of research on him. And so now my reaction is another three-point shooter. So this makes me wonder, are they going to change the offense or not? If he stays, then I'm worried about them still being a team that just basically stands out at the line and chucks threes out its ass all night. Now, I recognize this player might get moved, but you know the motto, we have a show to do today. So if they're acquiring Simons to be part of their roster and part of their offense, then they're still defaulting to the three-point shooter and the guy that can play out on the perimeter and make defenses pay from out there, which I don't love. Secondly, because it's no different. We know what the problem was. It worked against them in the postseason, so they went right back to it. If that's what this is, I hate it. I can't stand it. The other part of the deal, I think Jrue Holiday got royally porked in this trade. So let me ask you, did you think he was going somewhere better?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think he'd go to
Portland?
To the Trailblazers. Yeah, if he any of these guys, I mostly thought, well, I mean, extrapolate Sam Hauser out of this whole thing, but between Porzingis, who I think is probably going to end up being next, and Jrue Holiday, yes, I thought those two guys were going to end up landing on contenders and not, a middler at best.
So if I'm Holiday, look, I'm going to make my money. That's fine. Obviously, I got a couple of championships on my resume, so it's not like he needs another one. But still, you want every game to count. You want to play in meaningful games. Now I got to go back out to Portland after playing for contenders. I'm a winning player. I'm a guy that teams should want.
Yeah, that's a guy that you want. If you've been close, like he was a perfect fit for the Celtics. Like you couldn't get over the hump. Holiday helped him get over that hump. Like if you're one of those type of teams, why aren't you trying to make a deal to get Jrue Holiday on your team?
Someone should have, and he's egoless.
Yeah,
on
right.
top of it, he has no ego. He's the perfect guy for a team that's vying for a championship and knows that you only play with one ball. He doesn't need the ball. He'll play defense. He'll do the dirty work. He'll take open shots. He won't complain. And he ends up in Portland. I'd be pissed if I were Jrue Holiday. Pissed. You couldn't find a better spot for me than that? Oh, I have so much respect for how that guy conducts his business and how he,
If he is pissed, he's going to internalize it. You're never going to hear a peep.
No,
that he's
not a
mad
word.
With the Portland Trail.
Not a word.
Trailblazers.
I just, purely selfish reasons, I wish he had ended up in a better place.
Yeah, no doubt, because Jrue Holiday was the piece in many ways the Celtics needed to get over the hump. He was a perfect player for what they needed in 2024. He's a winning player. Loved watching him play. Obviously, he was not going to be a fit moving forward, given the state of the franchise following the Tatum injury, and more importantly, given where they were in the second apron and the money and all of that stuff. I just think this is an example, because I too, Mazz, was shocked that he went to Portland. This is an example of Brad Stevens continuing to show that he is the best general manager in this town, and certainly one of the better general managers in sports. This is a GM who turned over, obviously, every leaf to get what I think is a pretty good return for a guy that the whole NBA knew the Celtics needed to dump. It was obvious that Holiday was getting traded. I agree with you that I'm a little concerned about the fit on the team, because it shows that they're going to continue to shoot the three. That being said, they got a pretty good return for a guy that the whole world knew they needed to trade. This is a good job by Brad Stevens continuing to accumulate assets, continuing to manage his roster, and to, in my opinion, win trades, because I thought that was a win for the Celtics last night.
Well, it's a win for them, trying to get off the second apron, and to make sure they reduce their luxury tax penalty. I'm sorry, unless you're like, I know you hardcore cover the NBA, or you have League Pass, and I've been over to watch rogue games that aren't Celtics games. I don't want to hear anything about this Simons guy. That you don't pretend like you know him, and I don't like that. He's like some sort of good return. Give me a break. All I know is he shoots too many threes, and this is maybe my biggest concern. It's something you pointed out, Mazz, like that the offense is probably not going to change. If he's here, the kid shoots 38% from three. I know that the coach and the organization's like, yay, we're not changing. It's still going to be bombs away. I hate that part of it.
Well, so again, to me, that was the first thing I looked at. What does he shoot from three? I would have felt better if he shot 36% from three or 35%, didn't take a crap ton of them, and that suggested he was a different kind of player and could complement them in a way that they didn't have yet. So, but it's here. This time with the Celtics now is here. Over the next 2 days, they're going to peel this thing apart. They have a chance to remake their identity. They're doing it in a league where it feels like the Eastern Conference is as wide open as it has ever been in any year, in any era, which, makes me want to say, don't just give up. Like, there's that element to this story, too.
Yes, so do you think this is part of just a financial deconstruction, or is this like, them really stripping it down? Is this the beginning of them stripping it down?
So I'm hoping it's the first thing and not the second. Because I think and again, they don't have to do a crap ton to get under that second apron, Murray. So Bobby Marks said there that they started the offseason like 20 or 22 million over that second apron. This chops about $4 million off. And this is what apparently they're going to do. And we've talked about this. They don't have a lot of options. So what they're going to end up doing is a series of deals in which they save $5 million a trade. And that gets them under the second apron. And I would hope that that's the goal. In the meantime, with Holiday, they save money in the longer term because he was signed for another couple of years. So they can save money in the longer term. But in the short term, listen, if the East sucks next year, and it's going to, what if you were to get Tatum back in March or April, and all of a sudden the whole conference is dreadful?
I think someone sent me the odds yesterday. As of right now, I think they have the fourth best odds to win the East.
Yeah, they should. And that's
Cleveland's the prohibitive favorite, and there's no big surprise there. But do you still? I don't believe in the Cleveland Cavaliers.
No.
How can you?
That's what I like about this trade is if they keep him, and that remains to be seen, right? But they got a rotational piece for Jrue Holiday. I don't like the way they play either, but I understand they're not going to change the way they play. This is an example of Brad Stevens towing the line. The edict from ownership is we've got to get under the second apron. We've got to cut salary. We've got to, shed, this money off the books. That puts the GM in a tough position to get full return. We have seen that with the Red Sox. Brad Stevens is consistently towing the line here, and this is a sign that they plan to try and build a team next year that's going to be competitive. They're not going to strip it down. That's why I like this trade.
Murray, who were the other three teams ahead of them in the odds, or the other two teams ahead of them in the odds? Do you remember? Was one of them the Knicks?
Yes, the Knicks. The Knicks, I think, were plus 650 in Orlando. No, the Knicks, I believe, were plus 600, and the Orlando Magic were like plus 650.
Ahead of the Celtics?
Yeah.
Because of no Tatum.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, to win the East. Okay, so that might happen because Tatum will miss a significant amount of time.
But I don't know, my gut looking at that, I was like, they could still win the East.
Definitely.
It's not very good. And those teams, like Orlando is certainly on the upswing. They got, they certainly have better shooting now that they made that deal and they get Desmond Bane. But they're still a young team. I like the Celtics over them. And then the Cavs just exist to fail in the playoffs. All right, the Knicks had your number this year, but is that going to happen again next year? I like the Celtics to still be in the mix next year, even if they're going to continue to peel off pieces like Holiday.
So to me, in the next couple of days, what they should do is keep that possibility alive. To me, that should be the goal of this offseason, the more I think about it, because I never wanted to separate Tatum and Brown. There was one little glimmer in there where I thought, boy, there were some reports that the offers for Brown could be competitive. And if that happens and it's some sort of bidding war and you get some ridiculous offer, then I would have seriously considered taking it. But I don't think that's going to happen. And you know what? If you have Jaylen Brown and Derek White and Peyton Pritchard and Simons and whoever else, they should be good enough to compete with just about anybody in the conference. It should be enough. And then just hang in there until Tatum comes back and take your chances. Because if all the talents in the West, don't flush the season down the toilet. There's no reason to do that, given how weak the East has become.
All right, so what's next Jrue Holiday is gone, and look, it sucks to see the band broken up, but you had to figure something like this was going to be coming down the pipeline. And it started. Some of the peel-off of the championship Celtics from a couple of seasons ago. The deconstruction has begun. Jrue Holiday out. Who is going out the door next? Brian Robb of Mass Live was on this morning here on 98.5 The Sports Hub with Hutcher and Hardy. So he had some insight on that, on whether or not there is more coming.